There's been some changes in leadership in the West Bloomfield Police Department of late, including the retirement of Deputy Police Chief Kurt Lawson, who served nearly 30 years in the West Bloomfield Police Department. Now, a new Deputy Police Chief is in the rank and file of the police department, and it is Deputy Chief Dale Young, who joins us now on the Splash Live. Thank you very much, Deputy Chief, for joining us, and congratulations on the promotion.
Well, thank you, and good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, and glad to have you on. As we introduce you to the community, you've been at this job now for a few weeks, taking over just after the beginning of the year for former Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson. Tell us about your experience in law enforcement and also right here in our West Bloomfield Police Department.
Yes, so I have over 19 years of experience in law enforcement. I began my career in 2004 as a cadet. I've had the opportunity to do varying assignments within the police department, from patrol officer, detective, defensive tactics instructor, crisis negotiator, team leader, patrol sergeant. Then I was promoted to administrative lieutenant, and now the deputy chief.
And going back to the beginning of your career, you mentioned you had started as a cadet, now known as a police service aide in the West Bloomfield Police Department. What inspired your career in law enforcement? What got you interested in this line of work?
Well, both my father and grandfather worked for two different police departments, so in some ways it ran in the family. And timing was good, where I was able to get my foot in the door at the West Bloomfield Police Department. And in fact, I've spent my entire career here.
And it's a great place to work. Everyone that comes through the West Bloomfield Police Department seems to have really positive things to say about the work environment, certainly about the support that the department gets from the community. And so there's a great opportunity in this promoted role as you take on even greater leadership in this police department to make some big strides in our community. What are some of your goals now that you're in this role of Deputy Police Chief to move the police department forward in the near future?
Yes, and one of the things that you had mentioned earlier was the fact that I'm still getting used to this. I was just promoted in January 3rd, but my short-term goals right now is to continue to learn as much as I can from Chief Patton. With the recent promotions, we have a new administrative lieutenant, so I want to get him up to speed in those new duties, and then get comfortable with being the new police department's public information officer.
As we see on our screen on civiccentertv.com, Deputy Chief, not only were you promoted to Deputy Police, but also Officer Kinishuk was promoted to Sergeant, and we saw Sergeant Metcalf also promoted to Lieutenant. And so a lot of the leadership that's been promoted of late have been in the West Bloomfield Police Department for a long time. Certainly, Chief Patton has been someone that has had great longevity in this department. So how does that play into the way that the leadership team is going to be able to move this police department forward and complete some of those goals that not only you have, but you have departmentally, given that there's been such longevity and not really a lot of turnover necessarily, despite some departures in this police department of late?
Yes. So anytime that we add more people to the command ranks, that means that we're getting other unique perspectives that are going to contribute. And also, one of the big things that we believe in wholeheartedly is training our officers. So the officers have varied experiences depending on what they're assigned to throughout their career, but also through training. And so what we want to do is keep abreast of the best practices and make sure that we are instituting those best practices in the police department. Make sure that we are going to be relevant now and into the future.
You mentioned too, Deputy Chief, that part of your early goals as Deputy Police Chief is to bring up to speed the new administrative lieutenants and other leadership in the ranks just below your position. Given that you had spent some time as an administrative lieutenant, you had a close relationship too in the department with former Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson and with current Chief Michael Patton. Speak to that and how that's helped you, their mentorship and their leadership in helping you grow in this department, how that plays into the kind of how you want to be as a leader as the new Deputy Police Chief.
So, as you mentioned, I had an opportunity to work closely with both Chief Patton and Deputy Chief Lawson. And so having access to them like that on a daily basis was very beneficial for me, because I had an opportunity to see how each of them approached various topics. I had an opportunity to asked questions, and each of them were very open about pouring their knowledge into me whenever I asked. And so I want to institute that now in the leadership position that I'm in, where I will also be open to people coming into my office, discussing things, and to always make myself available to answer questions that they may have.
We're joined by Deputy Police Chief Dale Young, newly named Deputy Police Chief here in the West Bloomfield Township Police Department. You can get more updates from our local police department on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD and learn more about our police and other public safety departments in West Bloomfield on wbtownship.org each and every day. Deputy Chief, in the past few years, there's been a lot of new perspectives on the role of police departments in our community, and certainly a lot of questions and conversations, some very pointed and some that are very necessary to have been had between our police departments and our other public safety and the community. Luckily for your department here in West Bloomfield, there's a ton of community support, certainly support from the Township Board and other departments. And so as we've had these in some cases, tough conversations, and in other cases, very necessary and long overdue conversations about the role of police in our recent years. How does that support from the community, both from the government side and from the community itself, help your department move forward, learn new ways to approach community policing while also approaching enforcing the law?
Yes. So, as you mentioned, we have a lot of support, not only from our elected officials, but also the community at large, and it's invaluable because I believe that as part of our brand, people know that they can give us feedback, good feedback, maybe it's criticism, whatever it is, we want to hear about it because we are your police department.
We're joined by Deputy Police Chief Dale Young on today's edition of The Splash Live. Newly named Deputy Police Chief in the West Bloomfield Township Police Department. Others also promoted, and congratulations to all of them. You can learn more information about our leadership with the West Bloomfield Police Department and keep up to date for information on emergency updates and news across our community from the law enforcement side. Facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD for more information. And as you mentioned, the community support, a lot of that support is because we see our officers, we see our leadership, especially out in the community at events and at our community meetings and so much more. And part of being the Deputy Police Chief is especially what we saw from former Deputy Police Chief Kurt Lawson was being out in the community and heavily involved. What are you looking forward to, especially in your early term here as the Deputy Police Chief in terms of getting more involved in the community and helping to connect your department even further and even closer with the various areas of Greater West Bloomfield?
Well, the community is definitely going to see me more often at these events. Recently had an opportunity to attend the United We Walk event that was on this past Sunday, January 14th, held at West Bloomfield Middle School. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to speak to a number of people in the community, from members of the school board, Parks and Recreation, etc. And I look forward to doing that more in the coming months.
Plenty of opportunities to get out in the community. We see our police, we see our fire, we see our township leadership so often. And that's really important in a community as close-knit and as involved in all different corners of the community as the West Bloomfield Township is. We're joined by Deputy Police Chief Dale Young on today's edition of The Splash Live. You can always keep up to date with the West Bloomfield Police Department on Facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD. Deputy Chief, before we let you go, anything else that we should know about you or about the new leadership in the West Bloomfield Police Department and some of your other immediate goals or opportunities coming up?
Well, I just want to say again, thank you so much for having me on the show. As you pointed out, we do have some movement that's taken place, and we are all getting situated in our various new roles, and we are here to serve the community. And any feedback that anyone wants to give us, we are absolutely open to hearing that. That's the only way that we really truly know what the community is thinking, is if they share their thoughts with us.
Here he is, our new Deputy Police Chief and Public Information Officer with the West Bloomfield Police Department, Dale Young, with us on The Splash Live. Thank you so much, Deputy Chief.
Thank you. Have a good one.